Great decorating is all about the details, including a gorgeous textured set of coasters. How we love a coaster. Functional. And why not be beautiful? Quince has a gorgeous set of woven rattan coasters in 3 terrific colors with their own little holder that you're going to absolutely love. And if you haven't visited quince.com/DTT yet, get on over there. It's everyday elevated living without the markup. From crisp 100% linen bedding and soft organic cotton towels to airy curtains and premium kitchen tools designed for everyday use. And the best part? Like Quince's clothing, their home goods are half the cost of similar brands. By partnering with top artisans, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. Elevate your space with home essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. When the birds have flown. Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Wilkins here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. Today we're talking about that pivotal point when your nest is a bit empty and how you can change things up to make your home work for you now.
Well, it's such a fun opportunity to really do something different and reassess. So it's not a sad thing. It may sound like it's going to be sad, but I think it works out. I mean, we're actually empty nesters, and I see my daughters all the time. So it works out well. We have our own lives, but then we come together quite often, and it's a fun thing. So not always bad.
I don't really like that term empty nest, but we sort of had to call it that so people would understand what we were talking about, because everybody knows what that is and what that means. I don't like it because it sounds sad and negative, just like you're saying. Like, I want my glass to be half full. I don't want my glass to be half empty kind of thing. That's how I kind of like to live my life. And it is an opportunity, and in lots of ways, to expand your life and change things up and try new things, not only in your decorating, obviously, in every aspect of your life. And it's an exciting time for your kids because they're going on to the next chapter. So there's a lot of things that you can do in your home to then support what you want to be doing, what you are doing, what you may be doing as a solo occupant or as a couple. And you also have to take into account whether or not it's a temporary flight from the nest, or whether people are going to be coming back, or whether they've actually moved on for the foreseeable future.
Yes, and I have a friend who was dreading being an empty nester, and then she told me how much she loved it. In fact, recently she was telling me, my son is coming back. He's graduating, but he doesn't have a job yet. And she's like, how long is he going to be staying with us? She didn't want it to be for very long. So you get used to being an empty nester pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean, be happy for your kids, enjoy that, and see it as an opportunity to redo your house. And then when your kids do come, it's really just kind of a fun party all the time.
That's a great way to look at it. And we approach decorating so much from the perspective of function and who lives in the house. I think we take that into account in all our episodes, and we also ask that as one of our first questions when we do our consults. We want to know who's in the house, who is going to be there, whose life needs to be supported by that. And when you think about it, if you have been living with a family, 1 kid, 2 kids, bunch of kids, whatever it is, you are really decorating for that family life. So when that changes, it really is a good idea to reassess how the house is functioning, how it's supporting or not supporting what you're doing now. And you want to make use of some of these spaces that were otherwise occupied by other people. That doesn't mean you want to make them feel unwelcome when they come home. Maybe like Anita's friend. But you don't want someone to come in and think there's going to be a bed in there, and then they go in and all there is a yoga mat or a craft studio.
Well, we did have a situation where we moved Evie into an apartment. This was a couple of years ago, and she took almost all the furniture from her bedroom, which was fine. She took it. And then that night, actually, at that time, she was spending every weekend with us. So we moved her into the apartment, and then she came back with us, and I thought, this is odd. It's like you haven't really moved out.
Who's behind us?
But she walked into her bedroom with no furniture in there, and she started crying. I'm like, she's like, there's no bed. I'm like, well, you just took it. Like,
well, yeah. Well, okay, that's very different. She took the bed to make herself a new home. That's not like your kid goes to college and then you give away the bed. They don't know it. So,
right. So she knew about it, but I said, we do have this really lovely garage apartment. It is just a few steps out the back door. It has
and the rent is very reasonable.
It's very reasonable. It's got a lovely little bathroom, cute little kitchenette, your own refrigerator. You could just walk out there and stay there. And it was as if I was sending her to Siberia. So...
So there are ways to empty nest. Of course, you can completely downsize and change your home or get some fantastic pied-à-terre in Paris or New York City or something like that. That's a very dramatic way to deal with a new situation in your life. But a lot of people will be opting to stay in their home. And as Anita mentioned, your kids might be coming back all the time, maybe every weekend, or maybe after college, or maybe after a job loss or in between jobs, something like that. So you may want to stay in your same home, but just switch things up a little bit. Still make it a place where they're welcome, where there is a bed, but it isn't necessarily a room that's a shrine to he or she or they, and a place that you can maybe use as a multi-purpose room. So we're going to get into the specifics of a lot of the rooms in your home today and give you some great ideas how you can transition to this very exciting time in people's lives.
That's right. And I think the first step really is to kind of assess what your actual lifestyle is and how you want to use the house. So ask yourself a lot of honest questions. Are you going to be working out there if you're thinking about a workout room? Not just an I aspire to work out, because how many people do we know buy all this equipment and then it ends up as a very expensive clothes hanger.
Clothes hanger?
Right. Right. Or pillow holder. Mm-hmm. So be really careful as you're assessing how you want to use the house now to be very honest with yourself. So again, like, are you painting? I want an artist studio. Well, are you already painting or you just think you're going to? So I think it's really about being honest, but really think through, how are you going to use the space? What's your life like? What do you want it to be like? And just think this through. Are you going to be entertaining a lot? Do you have some hobbies that need some space? Do you need a work from home space that you don't currently have? There's a lot of questions to ask yourself. And this is a fun time to kind of blue sky. Do you want a bigger closet? How are you going to use the space? And I think this is really a fun time to be very creative and just think about what it is that you want. And like you said, Kelly, it may mean that you want to move. It may mean that you're not going to stay in the house, or maybe you are and you're just going to use it a little better. Actually, for us, we ended up moving, not exactly when we became empty nesters, but pretty soon afterwards, we ended up moving. And, it was kind of hard to kind of think through, well, how are we really going to use this space? And we moved from Houston to Round Top. And I have to tell you, it's been a little over 6 months, and we love it. And I cannot tell you how happy we are where we are. And it really was the right decision for us. And sometimes you can do something like that and move, so that it really is time to think about, would you like to even be in a different neighborhood? Do you work remotely? Is it that you could even move to a different town? I mean, really think through how you really see your life going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't rush into anything. It takes some time. while we are saying this should be a happy, exciting time and can be, sometimes it is a little emotional, particularly when you're first maybe goes off to college or decides to move to a different city or something like that, and they're not in the home. You give yourself some grace on that and work through that. I know we've had actually some listeners reach out to us and say that listening to decorating tips and tricks just in general was a help while they were going through this initial empty nest experience. So we're happy to be there for all of you, whether it's just our voices or whether it's decorating advice as you move forward in this transition period. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Anita. Take the time that you need to work through all of that. It's a lot to have someone who's been with you or people that have been with you for a long time then leave. So it's just not about grabbing a paint can. If it is, great, grab that paint can and get going and, transform their bedroom. But give yourself the grace and the time and think through it. Yeah. Don't just knee jerk that I've been always thinking I'm going to be and fill in the blank, or I'm going to do fill in the blank, and then transition, their bedroom or a space into that. And you're really not that into it. You don't need a dark room kind of thing.
Turns out you're not Picasso.
Exactly. Right. That being said, what can you do? Well, certainly you could, let's just start with that person's or those person's bedrooms. More than likely, the child who is left either had their own room or shared a room with one other, and maybe that room is now available. So you got to really consider whether or not they're coming back. So you don't want to make it awkward for when they do come back, or, having a kid sleep on the couch if you can avoid that, because you never know. COVID happened during college for a lot of people and they came home, right? So, we're not going to have that happen anytime soon, hopefully, but things do change and, people may be coming back. So you might want to keep it somewhat a place that someone can sleep. So whether it's the bed or you do a nice pull-out or something like that, I would initially create more of a transitional type of space in that bedroom. If you'd like to use it for an office space, that would be great, because that kind of works with a bedroom, especially if somebody's in school or they're going to be living at home while they're starting out in their new job. They would like to have a desk space. So you could easily sort of transition that back to the child living at home as well. So that's an easy one. You can just sort of switch up their bedroom, maybe take out the bed, put in a great pull-out or get a smaller bed, and then create for yourself or your partner a really nice workspace in there that can be easily moved. Laptops, files, whatnot can be taken away if they need to. Maybe clear out the closet. During an episode not too long ago, I talked about going and helping my mother-in-law transition to an independent living place. She had the shrine. And I know Kevin's family also had just a lifelong shrine to everything Kevin did. Peter's was somewhat more limited shrine, but there was still all the diving trophies and a Smurf collection. I mean,
of what?
Yeah, I mean, Smurf.
Oh, Smurf.
Yes, apparently I hope at a very young age he was into Smurfs.
Did you bring him his Smurf collection?
I brought him one Smurf. Papa Smurf came back with me. The rest of the Smurfs went to the Goodwill.
Wow.
And then, his diploma from Columbia and various other things, his MBA and all that. But they were kind of rolled up. The Smurf collection and the diving trophies were prominently displayed. But to that point, his room was still a shrine.
Wow.
So if you've got a room that has the equivalent of a Smurf collection and trophies in it, and it's just sitting there and everything's collecting dust, there's an opportunity there. Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. I can't stop using dupe.com. This is an amazing website, service, best friend. I absolutely love it. So you find something that you really want and it's too expensive, it's a budget buster. Then you use dupe.com and you can find almost the exact thing or very similar products for much less. So I was crushing on this incredibly gorgeous coffee table. I had it in my mind. I had it in my Pinterest boards. I had it everywhere, but I just didn't have it in my house because it was too expensive. When I learned about dupe.com, that was the first product that I tested. And boy, did I find some amazing dupes. And I purchased one. So the original was almost $3,000. And Dupe showed me many choices, all the way down to under $200. Now, you may think something this extraordinary is hard to use, but it's so easy. Just type dupe.com/ before any product URL in your browser, and boom, it instantly finds you less expensive alternatives. They even have an app and a browser extension you can download. No account required, no sign up required. It's completely free. That's completely free free to use. Stop wasting your money on brand names and start saving with dupe.com today.
Gather up your kids' stuff and give it to them. Because it's not for you, it's for them. And so whether it's sitting out or in boxes, I think you give it over to them. And I had not a lot of things from Evie's childhood, but I did have stuff. I handed it to her and I said, would you like this? Because we're moving. And, now is the time. I did not mention there was a barn at the new place. I just said, we're moving and we don't want to be moving stuff that we're not keeping. I kept this for you. Do you want it? She looked at it and said, ew, no. And I said, okay, then we're going to say bye-bye to it. So I feel like if she doesn't want it, why do I even have it?
Yeah.
So it went in the trash. I mean, with her blessing, we did that. So I think it's really important to kind of go through that stuff because you don't want to be holding on to stuff for your kids when they don't even want it. I don't think Peter wanted the Smurfs.
He did like the one I brought up. And let your child be in on that. You don't have to do it under the cover of darkness like we all did when they were little and you wanted to clear out the stuffed animals or the toys and you'd stuff it in the garage or in the trunk of the car and drive away. I think it is nice to offer it to them. And if they say, no thanks, I don't need all my report cards, then go ahead and chuck them.
Yes. Now, along those lines, kind of a corollary to that is declutter, declutter, declutter. The reason I'm saying this is because you may have one of the bedrooms that you feel like you can't use for this or that because it's so cluttered with crap. Get rid of the crap and you might actually have a whole extra room to use for something fun. So really, I think this is also the time to go through and declutter. Look for the kids' stuff. You can just automatically hand it to them. And then look for just extra stuff that you had that maybe there's a closet you haven't gone through in 20 years. Go through that. Yeah. There may be some old towels or blankets that aren't being used. Who knows what's in there? Just so many things that we're not using. Maybe they're even useful, but you're not using them. So pass them along to someone else. And I because we do have the barn, there's a lot of stuff I haven't gotten rid of yet, but I've just put out in the barn. And I'm thinking I'm going to use that if I don't get rid of it right away, like the process with the closet where you turn the hangers backwards to determine what you actually wore in a year. If I have not pulled it out of the barn in a year, am I really going to use it? That's the kind of stuff that I'm just going to get rid of.
Yeah. So we're talking about having their bedroom be sort of transitional. But what if you're at the point where you really don't need that bedroom anymore? Your kid has moved on. Maybe they bought a place or they moved to a different city and you don't really see them coming back for a while. How about a cozy upstairs lounge? Could be couples lounge, partner lounge, solo lounge. Just create a space where you can either just relax, decompress. There could be a TV if you wanted. There could not. There could be just comfy sofas, good lighting, paint the walls a color that you love. Maybe you can make it a moody room like we talk about. That could be great too. Maybe if you're a person who really hated having the TV over the fireplace, which we know there's a lot of you out there because we talk about it all the time. Maybe it's an opportunity to move the TV up into this lounge area. And if you have a second story, and this is where this room is, that can be nice and cozy. It's kind of an extension of your primary bedroom. So that's something to think about that maybe you would never have considered, obviously, if your kid was living in there. So this could be a way to use that room in your upper level, or if you have a single story house, obviously that can work as well. But it just gives you another way to use the space I hate having rooms that are not occupied. Even a guest room, I want to be able to go in there and do something in there. TV, sofa, bookcases, ottomans, just a real cozy place to dive into and relax and decompress.
Such a great idea. And actually, when Evie moved out, I did buy a day bed to go in her room, so we could use it as a bedroom as well. But I had some extra furniture that I really wasn't using anywhere, and I just put it in that room and made it a really pretty French French sitting room. So I had like a French settee and a couple of chairs that were just extras. I threw in there. I didn't buy much for it. Just a day bed, but it really made it very functional, and it became my little room to go in to read a book, watch something on my iPad. It's really a room that I loved a lot and used a lot. So I was in there about every day. On occasion, it might have even been a nap room. So it was really fun. I kind of did it the way I wanted it. And so, yeah, you can do something like that. And I think that's a great idea, to make it a room where you can hang out, but maybe put a Murphy bed or a day bed in there so that it is flexible. So you could use it for a bedroom if you had to. Which kind of brings me to my next point, which is if you are moving houses or you're converting a bedroom into something else, really think about it beforehand. Specifically, if you're going to a smaller house, I've been reading a lot about people who downsize too much and then really regret it and then end up buying another house that's a little bit larger. So if you think, oh, I have a 5-bedroom house, I just need 2, you may end up buying the 2, but then having your kids come home a lot. And then you're saying, where are we going to put everybody? Or maybe you end up then having grandkids, and then where do you put the grandkids? So I think that's something to really kind of think about, and not to go too far. So if you're going to downsize, maybe just downsize a little bit and not too much. I intended to downsize, and I got a lot of pushback on the whole idea of downsizing. So we did not end up downsizing on the house. And we actually have more space here. But to be honest with you, we've had both kids out here. We've had the kids' friends. I've had a friend staying out here already. We've only been here a few months. And it's been really nice having all the bedrooms. So I'm not really sorry. And I think it would have been kind of tight if we had downsized as much as I had planned to do. So there you have it.
That's a good point and great advice from sort of the other side. The couple's lounge is something I do have in my mind. I'm pretty long off from that happening, but one of my daughters has really 2 rooms, 2 smaller rooms, and one could definitely be this cozy couple's lounge. I'm really thinking about that, but
okay.
I need to wait for a while, and hopefully she doesn't decide to start listening to DTT during this episode.
I doubt it.
But, I doubt it. I feel pretty safe in that. Add some elegance. Maybe you hesitated to add some elegance. And I don't mean it has to be a dripping chandelier or, over the top furnishings or whatnot. But you may have been hesitant to add some elegance or some more costly pieces of furniture or fabrics because you got kids growing up and things happen and things get spilled and things get scratched. So maybe some of the things that you held back on, you can reconsider and see if they can just work them into your rooms. This doesn't necessarily mean transforming a room completely, but maybe that sectional that has seen better days. And I think back to my red sectional that, had, if they did the blue light on it, like the detective shows, there'd be a lot of various DNA particles and crushed mac and cheese probably in there somewhere. It just happens when you've got kids and they've got friends over and you're, living a busy, happy life. Those sort of things happen to your furnishings. So maybe it's the time just to revisit those things. Think about things that you had on your Pinterest boards or in your mind that you would like to have. Maybe that coveted white sofa. Maybe it's time for that.
Ooh.
So things like that you could just add in here and there throughout the house and just freshen it up.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. Another thought is, of course, there's a lot of things you can use that extra bedroom for, but here's a radical idea. If it's next to the primary bathroom or closet, you may decide you don't even need the bedroom and you're going to bump out your closet and give
Mm.
yourself a bigger closet. You can always do something like that. Now just check to be sure that it's not going to hurt your resale, because that might. A less a more revert let's put it this way, a more reversible option would be not to tear down any walls, but just put some maybe buy some armoires from IKEA to put in that bedroom, where you could make it a place where you could store extra clothes if that's what you wanted to do. So that's another option as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Or sometimes you've got a primary bedroom that's en suite, but the bathroom's super small. So it really depends on how your house is laid out, obviously. But these are all just ideas that we're throwing out to you today, and things you can consider taking into account your layout and things that you might be able to do. But maybe, along those same lines, foregoing a bedroom, if particularly if you've got a single story house, you might forego a bedroom to open up the space for larger gatherings. Anita, in our initial comments, mentioned about, it can always be a party. Your kids are coming. Maybe they're bringing friends and they're staying for a weekend or a holiday, but they're not staying all the time. So maybe they can double up in a guest room or double up in their old bedroom, but you took the guest room and maybe opened up the space and just made it a bigger either family room or kitchen area. So again, you've got to obviously take into account the layout of your home, but ways to now transition the house from everybody having their own bedroom to maybe having more shared living space for the period of time that your kids are there with you.
Another thing to think about is maybe you're going to have more leisure time now. Maybe you're going to be able to sit and enjoy life a little bit better. You're not going to have to spend so much time cooking, cleaning, helping kids.
Gosh, this really does sound like a good thing.
I'm telling you.
Whoa, okay. I'm getting my head around this idea.
I'm telling you, it's not all bad. And we love our kids. So what about...
I love that you had to add that. We know you love your kids.
Well, one's here today and the other one's coming tonight. So,
okay, yeah.
So here's something to think about. So maybe you're going to have a little more leisure time, and you can maybe have some extra money. Maybe they're out of college and you just have money burning a hole in your pocket. I don't know what your situation is. But how about if you have a lovely view, what about maybe adding some windows to your living space? I mean, if you don't have a view that you like, obviously this isn't going to work. But, those windows bring in so much light, and we love our views here. And actually, in the past, we've added windows before to another house or expanded them. And it just added so much to the room. So that's really something to think about is, do you want to make your windows bigger? Do you want to add windows? I mean, there is an expense associated with it. But every time we've done that, we've always felt like it was worth the money. And again, if you have a beautiful view, you want to be able to take advantage of it. Maybe you're actually going to be sitting and reading and looking out the window now.
Yeah. 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 Adding windows. I don't think you can ever really go wrong with that. Good idea. The way you're living in the house is, it's changing and will change. The kitchen. It's different to have a kitchen for a family where you're serving breakfast or people are making their own breakfast or lunches, and you need a lot of counter stools. It's kind of sad if you had 5 counter stools and they're just sitting there collecting dust and there aren't people sitting on them. Maybe you don't need them anymore. It might be nicer just to have 2 or 3 in case somebody comes over to have wine with you, and there's more elbow room. Think about how you can transition your kitchen to living for 1 or 2 people or just less people. You might change up the workstations. I'm using air quotes, workstations. Like maybe get a special coffee maker and you can take up more counter space for that. Maybe look inside those cabinets and cupboards. Do you need all the things that were for lunches and containers and stuff like that? Just clear all that stuff out. Maybe, as I said, you can change the seating at a peninsula or an island, but maybe there's a way to carve out a spot for a little bistro table with just 2 chairs. This could be a lovely way to use your kitchen space. Obviously, you have to look to your own layout and how it can work out and, what your budget is to make these changes. But some of them can be really simple as taking away what you don't need and thinking about how to reuse the space that you do have, but for a different amount of people.
Definitely be thinking about how you're going to be using your house differently going forward and make those adjustments. And that's right, don't have reminders of how there used to be a bunch of people living there if that's going to make you sad, like all the extra counter stools. That's a good point. And I have also kind of a cautionary tale. Do I add that?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my dad always dreamed of moving back to rural Oklahoma, which is where they were from. They were living in Dallas at the time, and they were empty nesters at this point, and decided to go ahead and move back. And I had never seen my dad happier. He was so excited about moving there. I'd never seen him happier. They were looking for properties with some acreage. He was planting a garden. They were so excited. They found a place, and he was going up there and kind of getting it ready to move in. And I had never seen him happier in my life. He was just full of excitement. And the night before, actually, they closed on their Dallas house that they were selling. The night before, my dad actually had a heart attack and died.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. I didn't know that timing. Oh.
Yeah, I told Mom, I said, you don't have to leave Texas, hadn't closed on the house yet. I was like, you can change your mind and just stay here.
Oh my gosh.
But she did end up selling it and moving. Yeah, I know. But the cautionary tale is, if you have a dream of something, go ahead. If you can afford to do it, if you can actually do it, then I would say don't wait. I mean, you don't know what's around the corner. Sometimes people, their health deteriorates, or they lose a spouse, or something else. So, I mean, I really would say, just try to live your life to the fullest, and don't see it as a sad tale, but see it as, just kind of a gentle nudge to do what is right for you, and don't put it off.
Oh, Anita, I'm so sorry. And this rarely happens, but I'm sort of speechless. So I think, oh, wow. But that's really a good thing to share. Thank you for sharing that with everyone, because, people might be hesitant to do things, and they think, oh, this person, maybe they want the house or they want to come back. But really, you do have to follow your dreams when there's time to do it, right? And enjoy it.
That's right. So I hope you do. I hope you find what makes you happy, what works for you, and that you live your life to the fullest and love your life and love the home that you're in, whatever phase you're in.
I feel like we can't even go on, but I know we have a DTT
Right.
Defines coming at us.
All right. So we're defining, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm defining, or DTT is defining, VOC. Those are volatile organic compounds. And those are compounds that have a high vapor pressure and low water solubility. They're emitted as gases from certain solids or liquids. And they include a variety of chemicals that can really damage your health. So they're really a very bad thing. And you can have some serious health consequences as a result of being exposed to VOCs. So I think they're very hard on your liver, for example, one of many problems that they can cause. So they're emitted from a wide array of products.
Oh, so not just paint.
Oh my goodness, you're being exposed to them constantly all day in your house. So I want you to be aware of it. It's paints, lacquers, paint strippers, cleaning supplies, pesticides, mattresses, building materials, furniture, printers, glues, adhesives, and even permanent markers. So when you're buying something for your home, I really want you to look to see if you can find a low VOC version of it for your purposes. So if it's a cleaning product, see if you can get a natural cleaning product, or even make your own from natural things in your home. Vinegar, baking soda, all these things are great for cleaning. When buying a mattress, go organic, and then those typically are very low VOC. If you're painting, there's also low VOC paints. So be careful out there. Take care of yourself and really kind of keep an eye out for these things because they're in almost everything in your house.
No sniffing the Sharpies.
No, don't.
Wow. Okay. I really just thought about paints. I mean, we've talked about things off-gassing in the past, like those shower curtains and all that stuff, but I didn't think about all the things that you listed today. Wow. Lots of good advice from Anita Joyce today, everyone. My crush is a practical one today. I just got my little pack of 16 of these little caps that you put on the legs of your chairs because, let's face it, those little felt pads often do not stay in place. Even though they're a great idea, they might last for a little while, but as a chair functions and people move it around, oftentimes those little things come off.
So I bought those before. And they didn't fit my chair legs very well. I ended up not keeping them. So maybe you got the right size. So you're enjoying them.
Enjoying maybe is the right word. I'm pleased with the purchase.
Okay.
I just put them on last night. They are plastic, rubber.
Do they fit? Do they fit the legs well?
Yes, these do. So they have a little felt pad, which they're very clear in telling you, well, it's part of the whole little thing. There are two sizes, and I do have a couple of chairs that have very thin metal legs, which I'm not going to be able to find these for, I don't think. So they do fit nicely, and the felty part is part of the whole piece, so it's not a separate thing, so it can't come apart or move off. So you can get them on Amazon, surprise, surprise. So I can put the link in the show notes to the particular company I chose. I mean, I went with clear ones because I have some chairs that are black and some chairs that are wood and all of that. It's not the most attractive look. Like if you were having a little antique chair in a pride of place spot in your house and your eyes going to it, and then you see it has which looks like actually little plastic gouache booties on there. It might not be the best look, but it's one of those things where you're like, oh wow, it functions well, so I'm gonna have to overlook that. So right now they're just on the legs of the chairs in my kitchen, and those chairs they're old, but they're wooden, bent wood. And so they have, I think, a very sort of common diameter for the legs. So you just measure that, and then you can choose the right size. So whether it's going to be the small, I think they were only choose small and large, and the large didn't get that big. But these fit really snugly on these, what I believe to be sort of a standard leg chair, and they even kind of can conform to square, or rectangle chair. So yeah, there's a lot of options on Amazon. I'm just going to link to the ones I got because I can speak to those. You can also get them in black. I think you can get them in sort of this beigey color, but that looked very commercial and not so great. So I went with the clear ones. They come in packs of like 16 and 32 or something like that. So I'm very happy with them. I might say I'm enjoying them. Yes.
Okay. But something to keep in mind is these are really more for chairs, something that you're going to be moving a lot where the felt would come off. So if it's a dresser and you're not going to be moving it around, then the felt's going to work fine. It's really, and I know what you're talking about because our bar stools or our counter, stools, the felt comes off all the time. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always like on one leg. And then not only is it that one leg scratching, but then the whole chair is uneven.
Well,
so
and then
it's super
do you
annoying.
like it when you're sitting there and you hear it kind of, it's squeezing out and you hear a thump. Yeah. And you're like, okay. Are you trying to tell me something?
The worst sound is when someone, not you, is on the chair and they scooch it back and then you hear your floor scrape. That's the worst.
Yeah, that's fun too. My crush is something that I mentioned on our episode with Betsy, and I thought I'm going to share the link and make it my crush today. And that is my double ruffle blue outdoor umbrellas that are beautiful. And it's a very soft blue, but they come in a lot of different colors. But I chose the soft blue, and they are so beautiful. I'm very happy with them. I'm going to include the link. So these are really pretty, and I think that you'll enjoy them if you're looking for some pretty umbrellas. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult. We can't wait to talk to you.